Good morning.
Welcome to joining my webinar. Thank you so much for joining me today, this morning in New York. I'm here in Moscow. Thank you for doing this for us. And I'm very excited to connect with you, to talk to you. And for everyone, I just want to quickly introduce myself. I have 15 years of experience in the industry. I started in sourcing, and last over 12 years, I've been working in recruitment, actually recruiting for for apparel and supply chain industry retailers. And that's how I met Svetlana. Svetlana actually was one of my clients, and I just want to introduce her. So I can do a quick introduction. Is that all right? Okay,
Yes.
so my guest today is Miss Svetlana Sholomova. She has over 25 years of experience in the industry, working. She started her career in fashion, working for fashion houses in New York, and then she crafted her niche in 3D design, and she worked for some of the industry giants, and now she's leading the 3D product development team at Li & Fung in New York. So welcome.
Thank you so much for inviting me. Very happy to be here.
Thank you. So let's start our today presentation. And so quick tools for quick start in digital design. Where do we start, right? This conversation. And today our agenda will be to have a clear direction in business of digital design. And we will cover three main questions. We'll talk about situation in the market, what are the main trends, and what we can do to upskill. And we will ask some questions from Svetlana. So let's look at the big picture. What is happening in the market? At the moment, yes, we are basically in the economic downturn, shutting down of physical retail, travel ban, and layoffs and furloughs. We are dealing with the industry, the fashion industry actually already had signs of financial struggles. The retail is already in transformation period. So as there are some numbers that 34% of companies already had signs of financial struggles, and everything only escalated with the fires, obviously. And actually only 3D teams remain working and companies are considering expanding. And that's what our today conversation is about. To explore new opportunities when everything going digital, right? The fashion weeks go digital, the e-commerce is expanding, and of course, there are some other businesses like loyalty reward systems and sustainability is becoming first for beauty and fashion industry, and the digital design is the new normal, right? So what is digital design in terms of the goal of the company? 3D solutions for apparel design are key to successful digital product lifecycle, and it's transforming teams of pattern making and technical teams and design teams, obviously, and even to marketing and merchandising teams. And what we can do to upskill. So our goal, my goal of my company as a recruitment and career consulting business is to connect tech talents and companies. And my clients who are currently hiring, they are Target and Walmart and VF and many others. So, and today we want to discuss with Svetlana, our invited guest, how to start for someone to transition from the traditional, let's say, pattern making, technical design into becoming a 3D designer. So here, yes, I just wanted to start asking you questions, basically, right? So to start, tell us about your story. How did you start? So I introduced you in the beginning a little bit, but would you please share with us more about your journey and share more about the world of 3D?
So I came from St. Petersburg to US 24 years ago. And I graduated in fashion school in Russia. And I came here and I was immediately rolled into FIT just to learn the language. So with the familiar topics to me. And I worked in New York for various companies as a couture, wedding, and evening dresses, and different small brands, big brands. And 10 years ago, I started to be interested in 3D, 2D first as a digital patterns. There wasn't so many 3D, at least I didn't heard of. The only knowledge was from FIC, from some of the professors that they told us that the 3D coming up and it's a future tool, and that was actually 20 years ago. So which were hard to believe at that time. And then I was the first one who wasn't believing in it, and I was always arguing that it's not possible to do with the couture, complicated twists and drapes, and but turns out there are some limitations, but it's very close. The applications are developing, evolving every day. And I think in near future, it could be a good tool for visualization of very complicated creations.
Right. Yeah, I'm really surprised that you're saying that you were skeptical, because to me you're one of the big enthusiasts, in the industry. So it's really inspiring to see that you had all these arguments, right? And now you're completely pioneering and really championing for this technology. And how did you start? What are the applications? So if somebody wants to start in the industry, what are the applications, and is there short courses that somebody from Asia or Russia could attend?
The first component of the start, I would say, a big desire, enthusiasm, and really want to get yourself into the front of the innovations. That's the first. That without this component, it's going to be very hard to start. Then search, a lot of searches, go into different webinars and workshops, and enroll yourself in school for short courses, which FIT and Parsons and Pratt, I believe, they started to have some courses like 3 months, 2 months courses on 3D applications as browseware or cloth or Optitext. Many of those applications available to even on YouTube, short videos for self-learning. Who is not comfortable for self-learning, that's not ideal. But at least to start and make yourself comfortable with vocabulary, of 3D vocabulary even. Because if you never heard of some virtual feet vocabulary, then it will be challenging to approach the subject. Then attend workshops like Alexandra workshops, where she brings the specialists from the industry and gets invited different guests and speakers, and get yourself familiar with the industry, and again with the vocabulary and 3D.
Yeah, thank you for recommending me, and thank you for sharing all this information, because that's what I'm getting, like having a passion and then finding ways, right? Like watching the YouTube videos to start with, and then enrolling into 3 months courses at FIT or
there are media available right now. Not a lot of blogs, as this information is not widely shared, but you can enroll in LinkedIn groups, in face groups specifically assigned to 3D subject, where people are sharing their creations and discussing and maybe asking some specific questions and advising each other. So which is it's quite interesting.
Yeah, exactly. Like, thank you for sharing these free resources with us, like this group on Facebook, the Fabricant. It's really cool. Like, it's so active. It's a very supportive community. They all, really cool people who supporting each other, and communities like 3DRC and obviously, yeah, PI. They have some free webinars as well. Yeah, and you also mentioned, yeah, Chloe has free 1 month trial. And how did you start learning? Was it back at that time? I guess there was no that many free resources, and you had to really invest in yourself and really
Yeah,
think.
I started pretty much on my own. That was in 2008 or 9. That's
10
about
years
12,
ago.
12 years ago. Yeah. So the company that I work for, they weren't interested to invest, and I started on my own. I rented the license from Aptitex, and there were training available as well with the license when you rent the license at the first time. And I could break the sessions and on the phone, you with the trainer one-on-one. Not sure if it's available right now, but at that time that was really, really helpful. So I was self-learning, then had some questions, then go in 30 minutes, 40 minutes class with the trainer and go over my challenges and issues and trying to figure it out. And then I think that was very successful, and I start my own little freelance services that where I can serve clients living not only in the United States but even abroad. So I could just send my digital patterns, and that was a very interesting time.
Well, that's brilliant advice for anyone who's looking for a job, right? To really just, invest into education, and then you can actually make money by freelancing and doing digital design for clients
Yeah,
around.
yeah, especially if you are interested in and sort of in schedule that it fits your needs, that it's not necessarily 9 to 5 job.
Yeah.
That's very convenient.
And was it challenging to break into this industry, like, or was it mostly, yeah, the mode of that there was no many resources and you had to just, and I know that it was quite expensive, right? It was like
Right.
$10,000.
Well, to me, it wasn't an issue to break an industry because I was in the industry for a long time. To digital side, for me, was challenging to have as a pioneering sort of challenges that I was on my own. I didn't have any resources around me. I was struggling, going through some questions and some answers that a lot of times I was thinking that it's something that I don't understand or I don't know, but it's turned out it was some limitation of software or some glitches, some bug, and I so that was good to know, and I think that was helpful to other people that I was sort of um, figuring it out how to do better or maybe
Sure.
make some suggestions. Yeah, so that was helpful for.
Yeah. And so you had to buy these corporate keys, as I understand, right? So it's not like available to individuals at this moment.
Right, at that time it was rentals. You can pay month to month or 3 months at the time. Like you pay for 3 months, every 3 months. I don't know what's the settings right now. I can speak, but that was at that time. And eventually I bought my own license with,
Right.
with time.
So it could be, yeah, it could be a journey for someone to just, first
Yeah.
explore a bit more, then have some trials, try months to months, and then actually get the
Yeah.
license.
I mean, it's definitely a journey for anyone. It's
Right.
it's not just um, you get the tool and then you're set for life.
Yeah.
It's because the applications are constantly evolving and bringing more and more layers of complexity, if you would say, but from another side, easier to work with the application, less manual work, more automated processes. Um, so it's a long journey. It's a
It
long
is.
journey. It's not just like a quick fix. However, for designers and for pattern makers who are already working in the industry, it will be easier to transform themselves with a new tool. So for designers who are already using Photoshop and Illustrator, there's a lot of plug-ins into the program, so it's so to speak, it's a very familiar language for designers already. So they adjust to this 3D application so quickly. For pattern makers, because they know construction and technical side of it, it's as well, it's very easy to adjust as long as they understand the virtual language and get the muscle memory with the mouse. It goes easier and easier with every day.
Right, got it. And how about if somebody is like from merchandising? You mentioned you had somebody, right, joining from merchandising team and become a digital designer.
Right. Yeah. So the people when they are enthusiastic and open to learn, so there are some um, options to to transform their position to 3D designer, but it goes both ways. So you still can be a merchandiser working with the virtual sampling and choosing the colorways and different variation of the styles. And again, so the merchandisers have to just adjust themselves to the virtual and trust the virtual samples more and more. It takes time, but
But again, that's the market direction, isn't it? Like what we discussed just now, that's where the industry is going really to.
yeah, there's no choice going back. So
So perhaps now is a good timing for anyone who wanted to start something new in their career to start with the.
right, right. And if people already working for the industry in the industry, since we have this very special time being working from home, I highly recommend to go online, to listen webinars, to see workshops, get acquainted with the people who is already working with 3D, and get yourself, to the transformation mode as
Yeah,
quickly as possible.
yeah, and connect with enthusiasts like Svetlana, because I know that you're always connecting with people and you're contributing to anyone who has questions in the industry just to, share your experience with them. Yeah, that's I think really is it's so priceless.
Yeah. So
All right. So, and that's actually what we were talking about just now for anyone who really just really new to this subject. And which are, is it all Clo? Is that right?
yeah,
What? Right,
it looks like Glow. Yeah.
right. Sorry. So,
Glow is the application which was developed from animation side. It's more, it's become more and more technical, but it's the focus, main focus is on animation and sort of a presentational visualization, more of the than technical side. It's become more and more better, whereas you can compare with the browseware, it's more technical software with the patterns and specific measurements and pattern manipulation. But that's how I compare. But they're merging their abilities every day. It's a big not only Chloe and browseware, but there are also Optitex and Gerber and Lectra. They all coming up with the 3D a part of software, and they big competitors. So it's a very interesting time when you know sometimes people don't know what to choose for themselves when they start in 3D. Like, how do you navigate in the world of 3D software if there's so many and you don't know how to choose? Then I would recommend to really target yourself, like where would you like to work and how would you like to work, which 3D software is really speaks to you. So it's I always compare the same thing with the phones, like which phone would you like to use, Android or iPhone. So there's not much of a difference. It's just personal preference or the company preference, like with the company that you're going to work for. So find out what they are using and start to learn this 3D software.
Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, you compare it to phones. That's a great comparison because I was always wondering which one is, I don't know, harder or easier to learn.
Yeah, it's I mean it's a great question for even for companies when they start their journey of digitalization. That's the first question: what tool they're going to use. And some of the company they call themselves agnostic, like Linfeng, for example. We have quite a few softwares that catering to customers. And
Right.
there's a lot of people who actually cross-trained and they can use 2 or 3 softwares at once, so which is, I think, quite remarkable.
And what is your tool of choice? Which program do you prefer?
So the first one that I learned I used for a long time was Optitex, and then I was working in North Carolina in the VF for denim products, and then I put the browseware under my belt. So using browseware for 4 years, I see a lot of changes and evolving to much better tool than it was 4 years ago. And I like the browseware now much better than anybody else and anything else. Claw I start to use when later, like 2 last years, but I'm not using as often as the other tools. And it all depends. If you use daily some applications, the you know, it just you feel more comfortable with it. As you know, as they saying, you don't use it, you lose it. But in general, if you understand one 3D software, the concept is pretty much the same. Same principles, a little bit different wording, a little bit different vocabulary of commands, tools, or but very similar in between each other. Once you know one, it's very easy to learn another.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you think we should cover on the topic of different software or different, yeah, like different software?
Um, no, just go on and start learn and if you have ability or really desire, as I said, and be enthusiastic and try to ask for demos from companies or trials. And I know Chloe has trials months, so where you can sign in and just see the short videos and use the application on your computer. Um, and that will be the first step. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to start somewhere. And that's your award-winning work, winning at the magazine. Sorry, at the
Thread magazine.
Rebrand magazine. Yes, sorry. And would you please, yeah, share with us? It looks beautiful. It's a beautiful dress. And
Yeah.
when did you win this award? And how long did it take you to create it? And yeah, would you please share with us?
So that was the challenge called by Thread magazine back in 2007. So I was the challenge called Inspired by Art. So every participant should take some art piece and just inspired by it. It shouldn't reflect exactly as, like for example, Facebook now called ISO
Isolate.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, something like that. So they take actual artwork and then they're trying to represent exactly or somewhat. This one was just inspired by art. So I was inspired by the landscape and in general um, this work of very famous work of Mona Lisa, it's
Either
innovative, I would say innovative work at that time because the first time at this kind of work it was introduced as perspective. Like when you look, because if you look at the 15th, 14th century, 13th century, all the paintings, all um, the artworks are flat. There's no depth to it, no perspectives. There's no plan. There's everything was on the same perspective, right? So the same sizes of horses, the same sizes of the mountains, and so forth. So that work was innovative because it was introduced perspective. You can see that it goes like to the far away, so you can see kind of depth or and different.
he was also doing innovation. He was also
Right,
innovating.
exactly. So, and I took the landscape of it, and it was a mutual work of several people, I would say. I just was actually making this happen. So, my husband gave the idea of using this work because I was like, no, how we can use it? It's just dark. It's nothing happening here. No color. Like, how would you do it? And he said, no, it's very interesting concept because for that exact reason that I told of the perspective um, using perspective at that picture to see that Mona Lisa sitting on the first plan and everything behind her, and you kind of see the far away view of the mountains. You kind of feel how far it is. None of the pictures at that time didn't show the depth of the picture. So I took the landscape and I asked very close friend of mine that she would paint, and she actually graduated from Academy of Art in St. Petersburg. Um, now it's Academy of Stiglitz, I think that's what it's called. So she painted the silk for me that I was asking, that it's inspired by the landscape behind Mona Lisa. And the whole outfit is kind of represent of the bride of the 14th, 15th century, or I would say a feminine. It's a feminine look of the
Dress.
yeah, of the bride. So into 2020, I tried to represent in 3D. So it wasn't as easy, and the work is still in progress. Not because
we have actual we have the actual I'm going to show the actual in what it looks like, right? Oh, okay, it doesn't play. Sorry.
No, it's okay. It just I want to say that to visualize this outfit, it's a great challenge for me now, because making 13 years ago physical sample and just using this beautiful fabrics as chiffon and taffeta and organza. So trying to represent the same and visualize now, it's quite a challenge. So and interesting. It's just different step for me, different depth of exploring of application, and still work in progress. So it's not as perfect as I would like to be to represent this outfit, but I will work on it.
It's work.
Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for sharing, giving us this historical overview of the painting and or history of art, or a quick lesson on history of art, and for sharing this inspiring story. And yeah, I think it's really important to participate in different words for a career, of course.
Yeah, and then participate in challenges as well. So and just get on
Putting yourself out there.
Yeah, just learn and start from simple, go into more complicated, and take challenges on, and you'll be fine.
Thank you. And yeah, and that's another topic that we wanted to discuss as your advice for somebody who wants to rebrand themselves as a digital professional. And of course, as a recruiter in 3D, in fashion, I just want to say that it's important to have these keywords on the resume, because your CV goes through the applicant tracking system, which is effectively an AI system. It's a little robot that checks your CV and sees that if you have the relevant keywords, and if you don't have these keywords like 3D assets, right? Digital product creation.
Yeah, or mentioning what kind of courses you went through, or maybe you were did some demo, take a demo or something, mentioning what kind of software you were learning.
And good question. Do you, when you hire, let's say, for your team, what do you require in a portfolio of somebody who is, let's say, applying for your team as a, or
I think depends on the position that person is hiring for. Either it's a technical or it's a design. That's different portfolio. Right now, it's mainly if you have a little website, that's good as a portfolio online. No one bringing physical portfolios, of course, anymore. Or maybe quick PDF with your previous works that I used to do. That at least it's represent what garment categories are you comfortable with. Are you
Right.
comfortable with swim? Are you comfortable with sleepwear? Are you comfortable with outerwear, like maybe jackets, tailored pieces? What is it that you're most strong, your skills are in? And then anything on that if you would like to learn, that's going to be not a problem. But at least for people to just have an idea where it's your strongest suit with the what kind of category.
Got it. Yeah, great. So it's good to have a website or depending on a position, just tailor make for position in a little PDF profile. Right. Yeah, great. Thank you. And yeah, and LinkedIn is really important, of course, in your branding.
Yeah.
To have a 3D on your profile because that's another keyword that recruiters, headhunters like myself were searching for
And
someone for positions, right? And proactively reaching out to your network. And do you get portfolios? Do people send you portfolios or do they send you their CV mostly?
yeah, mostly resumes, and from the resumes, you kind of can get the idea what schools they went to, what company they worked with, what they're familiar with the different.
Yeah, similar for myself. Yeah, I'd rather require a resume and
Yeah, for technical tests, we do some of the tests. Like
Mhm.
if we know already that person is proficient in one of the software, so it could be a very simple test just to see what's the depth of the knowledge there. But some of the people, if we know that they are coming and they did not use this program, but they are willing to learn, we usually train them.
Right. Yeah. And that's another question. But here on the topic of tests, how challenging are the tests? And do you perform it at the office or do you send any tasks to be completed at home, I guess, right?
Um, right now, that is interesting situation. Yeah, it could be both. I think it could be sent something, but not everyone have ability to receive at home. No, not a lot of people have their software at home. That's the challenge. So if that would be in the office, yes, there would be some style that would be asked to do some maybe modification on the pattern or maybe check the pattern. Like different roles could be different tests.
Got it. All right. And in general, investing in yourself, obviously, like upskilling in through the industry through various companies and tools that Svetlana mentioned to us, and different companies. And companies, of course, provide training, right? Most of the companies, when they're hiring now, they provide training.
Most of the company provide training for people who are already have some base knowledge of the either other 3D or Photoshop, Illustrator, and so forth. It's not like if you don't know anything about garment construction or computer, you're not computer user, of course, it will be um, impossible probably to start. But if you are, know some of the, if first of all, you have to work in the apparel industry,
Yeah.
so knowing basis and have some background of fashion school or somewhat technical school or something. And then 3D is just another tool.
Mhm.
So
Got it.
just
Thank you. You're making it sound so, easy, and that's I think really is encouraging to many people who are interested in
yeah.
upgrading and upskilling. That's
Yeah, I think the enthusiasm is a key. So for people who wants to get on digital journey.
right. And that's to start the journey in getting through interviews. Yeah, already touched on this topic, right? In the tests and in any. And how did you? And can I ask, like, how not to sound like an imposter. Let's say I have 2D skills and I know something about 3D and I want to get this job. So I perhaps have on my resume that I'm interested in 3D and I get an interview. How to not sound as an imposter during the interview?
How's not sound? What?
As an imposter, like how not to have this
Uh,
imposter.
uh,
Okay, yes, I want all that, but I'm not professional. I'm hoping that company will train me. And
right.
there
I
is
think that apparel industry, as any other specific industry like auto industry or architect or construction or anything that who already been on this road for 20 years, 30 years with the different CAT programs. As I mentioned, you have to know the apparel base information, and then just to say I'm willing to learn, I'm very enthusiastic, I'm gonna learn, I'm quick learner. You're not imposting anything, you're being honest. So, and as long as you really want to, because in this time of transformation, the worst thing to say is like, I've been doing this for years and this is how I'm used to do it. And, those kind of conversation is no longer valid in this world and in industry itself. So, but knowing the basic knowledge of the apparel industry is very, very helpful. And then 3D tool is just the addition, very useful addition to it.
right.
Because it's not the sewing is not changing, the construction of the garment is not changing. So it's the same stitching, the same sewing machine. On the end of the day, it's a physical garment has to be stitched correctly. And person have to know it. And I think it's very, very important to have those people who would transform their skills to the 3D rather than, I mean, it's good to have all the 3D designers, but if they don't know and they never stitch a garment themselves, it's quite a challenge to have a good garment that fits the body. Visually, it's going to look beautiful. Will it fit? It's a question.
So yeah, all the elements are important. And from your experience, what else would you share with anyone who just in the beginning of their journey, where they should start and what else they should, how they can get to where you are right now?
I would say put your thoughts together and really identify what you like personally, what the person will desire, where they imagine themselves working, with what kind of company, what kind of category of the garments, and then start from there. Is like learn what 3D they are using, and maybe to start using this tool and learn, or just go ahead and apply for this company and see if maybe they're gonna train you.
Yeah, great. And if you would need any help with consultation on your resume or consultation on how to nail the 3D technical interview, please feel free to reach out to myself and Svetlana. You can find her on LinkedIn, and we perhaps will post the handles below this video. And yeah, that you can reach out directly and network and ask more questions. And is there anything else you think you would like to share for in terms of right now in this time that we're living in the time of transformation? Is there many opportunities and in this industry?
Yes, I think just as I mentioned earlier, just make yourself a plan, personal plan, what would you like to do, and reach out to Alexandra that she can help you with the tweaking your resume. You don't have to change too much. You have to just add your your learning courses, or maybe mentioning what software you're using, and just get on the interviews. I I expect that a lot of companies will be going to the digital journeys, and they will need your talents,
That's
your
right. Yes, that's
your
for sure.
knowledge, your experience, and your desire to learn 3D. So you'll help those companies. So go
Yeah,
ahead.
that's one function that's being, having demand at the moment, actually,
Mhm.
consultants and trainers and designers. And do you think it's possible to, let's say, I don't know how correct if it is to ask of you, but I just still want to ask this question if it's possible to train from someone like you,
Um, if it's possible to train to like,
train with you, like if, let's say, if it's too expensive to have another course, or there are no any other ways to have.
well, there's specific price on the if you go to the schools, and I'm sure if you just go online, you'll see the prices. I'm not aware at the moment what they are, but there are available. And as I mentioned before, the school have like a monthly price fix, so that's I think it's reasonable, really reasonable. I paid way much more 10 years ago than it you can get right now, because it was so uh, rare, wasn't as widely, as many application as today. So that's
Well, if you ever will have a course to online course for anyone who wants to learn 3D, that's I think also will be an amazing opportunity because it is a growing industry and there will be need for resources. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time, for sharing, for your insights. And it's really, really great to understand more that someone who wants to start an industry need to have a passion and need to start looking from YouTube, let's say even, right? To start looking at some free resources. And it's a journey, and anyone can become a 3D designer as soon as you understand the fashion industry and how it works. And there are differences between Clo and Browseware and other software applications. And you can have your portfolio on your website. And yeah, to handle any tech tests and everything else, you can reach out to somebody who already is on the journey, like Svetlana, and to really to get prepared for interviews and hope nail the job, nail the interview and get dream job or your clients in your industry. Well, that's it for me. Is there anything else, Svetlana, you would like to add?
No, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the interest in 3D, because that's I'm very enthusiastic about. So just go
Thank
on your journey, and on your journey as soon as you will, sooner the better. That's my advice.
Yes, exactly. The sooner the better. I like that. The time is now, isn't it? It's always like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
the more yeah, it's never like later. It doesn't happen. Well, thank you
Thank
so
you.
much. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.